Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Tampa Bay Real Producers Podcast. This, of course, is the podcast that is made for real producers, by real producers, and with none other than Tampa Bay's real producers and our partners of the Tampa Bay Real Producers platform, which is what we're going to have today with Mr. Edward Demas. How you doing, my man?
Good. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. It's good to have you here. Edward is the owner of Magnum Roofing and Restoration. They've been a partner now with us for, I want to say, a little over a year, I think, with Tampa Bay Real Producers. Have sponsored some, definitely over a year, because I remember you guys sponsoring the Agent Choice Awards that we had last year.
Yeah.
And you guys were also at that again, the one we just did in April. And I think it was right before that one last year that you guys ended up signing with us as a partner and joining on. So it's been great to have you as a partner so far. I enjoy these partner series because it gives our agent community a little bit of a chance to just learn more about who the preferred partners are within our platform and your story and your business and everything to do with how you love working with agents, the good and the bad about that, and just try to educate as much as we can. How to best make the experience awesome for the agents, right, that are out there. So let's start a little bit just with your story, right? The backstory of how this whole thing even came about. Did you grow up in Tampa? If not, how'd you find yourself here in Tampa Bay and eventually start up Magnum?
So I did grow up here in Tampa, third grade through high school.
Okay.
After that, then it's a little all over the place. Went to UCF for college, and then that's where I got into roofing. Hurricane Charlie, I got offered a job.
Okay.
Selling roofs for a local roofer.
So there was an immediate need for
absolutely
the roofing business, huh?
Yes, and that's why I kind of fell in love with the industry a little bit, helping people, especially after a storm.
Yeah.
People, back then, roofing wasn't like it is right now. It's a little bit more limited market, so...
Were you going door to door and doing the sales thing?
Initially,
yeah.
We always, even with our current people, we train them door to door to start.
Sure.
But then you just build relationships, and between referrals, partnerships, things like that, you really don't have time to door knock.
Yep.
But it does get your name out there initially.
It's the most purest form of direct sales there is, man.
Some people hate on it, but it's a great way to, one, get your feet wet.
No doubt.
Two, get comfortable talking about your product.
No doubt.
I think it's, like I said, get your name out there in the market.
Yeah, I always say if you can train someone to get good at the doors, they can sell anything at any time in any format, right? Because that's the hardest one by far. And I've done it in the solar space and used to sell Cutco knives, not necessarily door to door, but that was my background. And so, yeah, bro, if you can get good at the door-to-door thing, no matter what the service is that you're selling, and those skill sets are transferable, even as real estate agents, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. So
you were working with some other roofing company in Orlando for a while, and how long did it take you before you started thinking, I might want to start my own?
Things went south a little bit. Unfortunately, I didn't agree with some of his business practices, so that's when I met my mentor. And we teamed up. He was primarily a commercial roofing contractor, and I was only residential. So it was kind of like a good mutual connection to where he's like, because he does nationwide commercial. He's like, I need a lot of help in Florida to keep an eye on my projects, pull permits, things like that. So he trained me on pretty much everything. Okay. As long as I handled the Florida market, he would let me run any residential I wanted through the company. Yep. So it kind of worked out really well. We did that for... till 2008 when the market crashed. Okay.
Now that wasn't under Magnum, right? That was a different brand.
Yeah, that was under his his company. Yep. But that was my first real ownership / management for the full company, start to finish. It was started pretty young. I was about 19, 20. So learn quick.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a great experience though, for sure.
Yep. And then that's when, unfortunately, when the real estate had its issues in 2008.
Everybody that's been around for a little while remembers those days.
we definitely felt it because we were working down in South Florida at the time, Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, and they were hit hard.
Palm Beach. Yeah, it was rough. So he was from Texas originally, and after that, Hurricane Ike hit. So he's like, hey, let's try this over here for a little while, let the market recover. So worked through Texas and the Midwest for few years before we came back here about 10 years ago and reopened up shop. Okay. And we've been never officially stopped ever. We were always doing commercial, but as far as residential market, we reopened about 10 years ago. still have a lot of our old service stuff down in South Florida. Some people still call us.
Sure.
But primarily we're on the West Coast right now.
And so that's when Magnum started as a brand, was when you reopened?
Yeah, 2011 was when it was reincorporated.
Okay.
So,
and the same mentor that you were working with, is he still involved with Magnum?
He's not an owner,
okay,
but he does still mentor. He's got his own commercial company still.
Gotcha.
And he does nationwide large commercial, apartment complexes, shopping centers, distribution centers, things like that. So where we focus here is only Florida currently, is our big push. And then we still will pick up work outside of the States occasionally. But right now our residential market is strong on the West Coast of Florida, and we're slowly branching out into the East Coast.
Cool. Nice. And so are you the sole owner of Magnum, Edward?
I've got one partner.
One business partner, okay.
Yeah.
So when you started growing the brand again out here on the West Coast, at what point did reaching out to real estate agents or getting work through agents become part of the business model? Was it pretty early? Did it happen later?
It's always been a part. My mother was a realtor, so I'm familiar with the real estate. We've done some flips ever since I got into construction.
Yep.
So I do understand the need for roofing in the real estate aspect.
Yep.
But now that the insurance companies have cracked down on insuring roofs that get too old, it definitely has made it more of a push for us to help the realtors so they can get these houses sold and closed, and they're not getting held up for insurance or any of those silly reasons like that.
And that's really been over the last few years, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's really picked up a lot. I mean, we've, like I said, always had the business of an inspector comes out and finds something wrong and wants it fixed.
Yep.
Or if the roof is super old, it was anticipated on a 20, 25-year-old roof, but now it's opened up the market a lot because it's right when roofs hit 12, 13, 14 years old, it's now part of discussion rather than 20-year-old roofs.
Yeah. And it's pretty much mandatory from a lot of these carriers.
Yeah. I mean, once it hits 15, we might be able to write a letter for some of these roofs that are in really good condition.
Yeah.
And it'll buy somebody one more year maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But in most cases, sometimes they're trying to change the rules to where the letters will get accepted regardless, as long as it's from a licensed roofer.
Right.
But
would you say probably the biggest frustration that you're finding that in your relationship and your process of working with agents specifically, these hangups with the insurance situation right now, is that one of the biggest challenges that you're coming across?
Yeah. Just holding up closing, silly things like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes a buyer waits till the last minute, start shopping for insurance, and then they go shop and then find out they can't get it.
Yeah.
So then it's a scramble.
And everybody's upset because it's how much time we invested into this.
Yeah.
We can't see the closing table. That ain't fun.
Exactly. So we try to be proactive with our realtors. If the roof's over 10 years old, definitely have us come out regardless. If it's newer than 10, you should be fine. But if you want to, you always have your 4-point where they're going to go find some potentially silly stuff on the roof. I get little scratches and gashes that some inspector was going to make a big deal about.
Right.
It's their job. I get it.
Right.
But, we'll put a little sealant on it just to appease, the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about being proactive. Let's get ahead of it. And if it is pushing that age for a new roof, let's budget it ahead of time. That way, if you want to list it a little higher and just include the roof, or at least just know in the back of your mind that it could be coming and you're going to negotiate a 50% with the buyer or the seller. So just different strategies.
Yeah, so it sounds like from an agent's perspective, it's just important to have upfront communication, right? Know what the expectations should be able to communicate openly with you guys as well as, of course, with their client. Do you prefer, Edward, the flexibility to talk to the clients directly if you know that you're going to be involved in the roofing project, or do you want to work through the agent? What do you prefer?
That's a tough one. I mean, sometimes it's good for us to have the direct communication with the homeowner. A lot of times we just do it all together. Agents will call me when they're sitting there with the homeowner, or we'll all meet at the house, or just different situations. That way everybody's on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
I do try to, inform the realtors beforehand of what my findings are so they can So we can kind of strategize together what might be the best option in each particular situation. That way we can go in as a combo team,
Right.
just explaining like, okay, for selling side or buying or whatever side we're on, plus what the contractor says, this is probably going to be your best bet.
In your experience, is it pretty split, whether you're on buying or selling side, or is it definitely one way or the other lean?
We've been a little bit more on the selling side lately.
Okay.
Just because people, like I said, are starting to be a little bit more proactive. They don't want to get blindsided at the end and not have the budget. So even if it's something as silly, like I got one realtor just messaged me 2 days ago. He's like, hey, I got this. I'm going to go to this listing appointment. What do you think the roof's going to cost? Because the roof's 19 years old. He knows it's going to be a factor. Takes us like, if you want true cost, the measurement reports take 6 hours to get. But if you just want a ballpark, we can usually get it to you within 45 minutes to an hour of like, hey, plan on 22,000, and it'll get you pretty darn close.
Yep.
Especially on some of these bigger roofs or tile roofs or whatever, like it could really affect. So be proactive. As far as the buyer side,
And you usually come in on the buyer side after the inspection. Is that how it typically works out? Yeah.
In most cases, unless they already know the age of the roof, they're like, hey, we're looking at this house. It's 20-year-old. I know I'm going to have to put a roof on it, and it's an as is or whatever. Kind of, it's already stipulated they're not going to touch the roof.
Yep.
So like they're trying to budget.
So they're selling it for a reduced price because of that.
Yeah. So the buyer just wants to budget, or like you said, the inspection comes in and they want to get pricing to fix it. So it is it's more seller just because they're the one who wants to get it sold.
Sure. And then do you have any sort of a program where you're paid out at the closing, or how does that normally work out for you guys?
Yeah, we call it our escrow program. It's been super beneficial in a lot of cases where homeowners just don't have the money to put a roof on.
Sure.
But they want to get top value for their home, and that's like the one piece of the puzzle that's still missing. So what we do is we work out a deal to where you get under contract, you get through your 4-point. If everything's looking good, negotiating's over, we will then put the roof on about 2 weeks prior to closing. That way the buyer can still shop for insurance in plenty of time, get a great rate on insurance, and then the closing goes through smooth, and we won't ask for payment until closing.
Will they be able to get the insurance that they need before the roof is installed, or is the insurance company going to wait until the roof is done?
Some of the brokers have been able to get contingent quotes.
Contingent based on the roof,
Yeah, saying like, okay, once that roof is replaced, as long as you hit all these criteria, which is the secondary water barrier, the renailing of the deck, the new roof covering, those are the three main things.
Yeah.
Then your rate should be here. So once the roof gets approved, we get past inspection, we send a copy, and they're ready to go. So they can technically start shopping beforehand, just saying, hey, the roof will be replaced next week or whenever it's scheduled for. But it does definitely get them ahead of the game if we can plan for it.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. In your experience, what's been some of your favorite ways to connect with agents out there? Do you guys proactively go out and do lunch and learns, or reach out to different brokerage offices, or has it been just organic based on referrals and you've done a great job for an agent, so they've told other people on their team about you? What's worked for you guys?
That's a tough one. I mean, I got my sales team. Once again, I'm a networking kind of person. I'm trying to push them to go into offices, do the lunch and learns. We've done a few of them. We need to definitely get more of those. They're not quite as personal, so some people don't necessarily grasp it as much.
Yeah.
I mean, the Real Producer events, we've actually met a lot of good realtors through there.
Yeah.
Because you get that one-on-one. And then big thing for us is also just timing, because we can present our ideas to a bunch of realtors and they love the concept, love the idea, but it's not something they need right now.
Yep.
So if we're not staying in front of them, just like in any industry, when that time comes, it's not going to necessarily click.
Yeah, no doubt.
So you
got to be top of mind when the need is there.
Exactly. So we do all the above. One of the big ones is referrals. Just like, oh, Magnum was able to do this to get my house closed. You should call them real quick.
Yeah.
So referrals has definitely been probably one of the stronger ones outside of the one-on-one events where we can actually interact and not do necessarily group setting. I do like the idea of group setting. It does work because we don't just focus on one topic. We can hit a bunch of topics on a lunch and learn.
Yeah.
Like what to look for before you call me, how the escrow process works in those situations to get you top dollar for your sale, because now you're selling the house for $600,000 instead of $550 because it's ready to go.
Yeah.
So it works out better for everybody, even the realtor.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that anyway, like education, because I think you're touching on it now a little bit, but the idea of when you do a lunch and learn, if you do, or in your perspective, is it important for you to have an opportunity to like educate agents on various things when it comes to your industry, your market? Is that an important thing in your experience? Have you found agents need that education? There's maybe a lack of it in some cases.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
what
one
are
of
some
our
things
core
that you
values,
think are important then?
Yeah. One of our core values become masters. Like we want to be masters at our trade, but we also want to educate, everyone in our community. Like the more you know, whether you use us as a roofer or someone else, the more you're protected, right? I'm not expecting you to know how to put a roof on, but I mean, I can meet realtors that don't know the difference between a tile and a shingle roof.
Sure.
So that's where even some of our lunch and learns are just basic. Like this is shingle, this is tile, this is metal. And then this is what the differences between them are, like benefits to having one versus the other, life expectancy of one versus the other, repairability, all that fun stuff. So it's just basic knowledge that the average person doesn't have, let alone a realtor.
Totally. I can see the value in that, and I'm sure a lot of that content is probably even shared on your social media, your own pages or whatever you do to get that stuff out there.
We try. We're getting more stuff out there. We've never been a huge social media driven company. Like we were super referral based for years, but we're definitely adapting because that's where the world is going.
Sure. Makes sense.
Education is definitely on the forefront. I mean, the more you guys know, especially because if you guys can get me the information correctly from the get-go, it makes my life much easier, even just to get started. So, what
type of information for an agent who's potentially has clients or knows that this is going to be something they're going to have to work through? Like, what would make the process really smooth for you on your end?
I mean, the biggest thing, first of all, is what kind of roof is it, right?
Yeah. So the type of roof, obviously.
Type of roof, the age
how old
of the
it
roof.
is.
Those are like the two big factors.
Do you know off the top of your head, Edward, like what percentage of roofs in Tampa Bay are, I would assume shingles the most common, right? Most popular, common. Is it by a large margin, or is there a lot of diversity with roof types?
It's pretty diverse. I mean, it just depends on geographic location. You hit Pinellas County and you're on the coastline, it's a lot more tile. And now a lot of people are converting to metal. So Pinellas County is definitely a higher percentage of tile and metal, especially when you get on the other side of 19.
And even when you talk about tile, there's different types of tile too, right?
Yeah, first you got the material, you got clay versus concrete. The price point for that is dramatically different.
Right.
And then you've got flat, medium, or high profile barrel tile. Pricing isn't a factor there, but the aesthetics can be very important. You can change the complete look of the house, going from a Spanish style to a flat tile, which some people like, some people don't like. It just depends on the situation. And then you've got, that's just what you can see visually. Once you get below that, then there's a whole bunch of factors.
Yeah, no doubt.
How's it attached? How's the underlayment? Is 1-ply, 2-ply? And it does create a lot of questions, because I can determine why it's leaking, why it's not leaking, how long the life is, because the big thing on tile is everyone's concerned about a cracked tile or a broken tile or a missing tile. Fact of the matter is, tile is not waterproof. It's not designed to keep the water out 100%. It's about 90% water shedding capabilities. It's the underlayment is what keeps the tile roof from leaking. So once the underlayment goes, the tile can look perfectly brand new. It doesn't make a difference. The roof's got to go.
Yeah. Those are some of the nuances that your average realtor is just not going to know that, obviously.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then even when it comes to shingle, there's multiple types of shingle. You got 3-tab, you architectural, you got designer. Once you bring it to the designer market, there's 5 different styles of designer shingles. And then they came out with, you've got your traditional Key West style metal, which is your standing seam, your 5V. And then you've got your new modern tile, which is your stone coated steel, which is designed to look like shingle tile slate, and it's still metal. And then the new rubber roof or plastic roofs, so the synthetics, are designed to look like slate. So there's
a lot of options.
Too many.
So when you meet with a homeowner who maybe is interested in changing their existing style, right, of their roof, do you generally lay out a lot of these different options for them, or are you really trying to narrow down the focus on here's 2 selections that you would probably be like? What's your process look like there?
On the retail side, when it's not having to do the sale of a house, we definitely throw some upgrades out there if they're interested. I mean, the big factor is the pricing. Like every single one that I mentioned has a pretty big price gap. I mean, shingles are always your most cost effective. Any of those systems I mentioned other than that can be at least double in most cases, if not triple. So it does play a big factor. So that's where, when dealing with the realtors and a lot of those closings, we just go back with comparable. If you got architectural shingle, we're going back architectural. If you got tile roof, we're going back with tile. The only one that we don't go back with, unless it is very rare, is those old 3-tab shingles. I don't enjoy installing them. I think for the cost difference, you're talking a couple $100 on a house. I'll eat the cost and just put the architectural on there. That way I can feel more comfortable that roof is going to last for a while and not going to get blown off in the wind. Right. Because the wind rating on the architecturals, all of them have like 130 mile an hour wind rating now.
So when you have these hurricane seasons that fly through here, being in Florida every year, does that, obviously when a storm comes through, is that just like, I know it's probably a good thing for your business, right? In certain cases, in certain ways, but
it does,
how do you prepare for that? Do you find yourselves getting influx with business all of a sudden, or what is that normally like?
Been a little while since we've been hit up here.
Yeah.
But like when Ian hit, it changes our strategy a lot.
Right.
Because now we're in recovery, help people get back going, get the water out of their house. We were tarping for 3 weeks straight.
And that's where the restoration piece comes in, right? Of your business model.
So we don't, in general, do a ton of restoration work. When we were in Texas and the Midwest, we did all kinds of stuff. Windows, siding, interior, exterior, you name it. Florida market is definitely different from anywhere else in the U.S. when it comes to construction. There's a lot more regulations, a lot more licensing. So we try to hone in on our roofing for the current time being. We do some interior, especially if it has to do with restoration aspect when the storm hits. And it definitely creates a lot more trades involved.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different aspects to that for sure. It can go in a lot of different directions based on what the needs are that the homeowner is going through. Do you see value, Edward, in like when storms come up, if they hit different parts of the state or even other markets, if you can, I think you said that you focus mostly in Florida anyway, as far as your residential business, but do you guys actually like go to those markets and try to like, I know some roofing companies do that, right? Like they literally, that's part of their strategy is
storm chasing.
Storm chase. Yeah. That's how they go after it. Has that been a part of your business model or not really?
We've got satellite offices up and down the West Coast. So Sarasota, Naples. So we work there technically year round. So if something hit outside of the West Coast, it would have to be pretty bad for us to travel to it. One, I like to have my resources available, and my resources are here.
Yeah.
All my suppliers, my warehouses, all my products, my crews, dumps, everything.
Yep.
So just, I know what it takes to storm chase. I've done it when I was younger. I did a lot, and it's a lot.
Yeah. I guess it could be very profitable, but it could be a lot of work too, I would imagine.
It can be.
Yeah.
That's why, and at the same time, it's about helping too, because sometimes, like, if a storm hit here, there's 150 roofers, 200 roofers here in Tampa.
Right.
But if a bad enough storm hit, we'll all be in the weeds.
Yeah.
So everyone, sometimes getting the outside helps
Yeah.
recover the city quicker. So when a storm hits, like when Port Charlotte got hit, we were down there tarping roofs. I mean, even with our 3 crews we had out there, we still could only do so many a day.
Right.
And these people are like, when is the next rain coming? Because I'm missing half my roof.
Yeah.
So
do you guys collaborate at all as an industry? Is there anything like that with roofing where you worked with, maybe if there's a big storm where roofing's, it's like a call to arms almost. It's like, hey, we need as many roofers here as we could get. Is there an organization that helps organize you guys in that way, or not really?
Not a true organization that I'm aware of. I mean, there's definitely a lot of us groups. Like I'm in a few different groups. I'm in with Revolt. There's like a Storm Venture group was like another smaller one. Where we've got groups that we chat online and we team up like, hey, let's meet here, let's do this, let's get food delivered, whatever it is. So we do communicate. There's a lot of us roofers that try to work together to make sure, like, especially when a disaster hits, that we can pull our resources if needed. Hey, do you have extra tarps? Hey, do you have extra labor you can help with? Yeah. So there are a good handful of us that work well together. Like we're competitors, but just like I
agents.
mean, this with real producers, everyone's technically competitors,
Sure.
but there's enough work for everybody.
Totally.
So there's no reason to.
And there's always, I'm sure, some who are playing in the sandbox nice and others that aren't, right?
Yeah, for the most part, it's exactly what it is.
From an agent's perspective, Edward, in your opinion, what do you think are the most important things for an agent to look for when they decide who to use for the roofing partners?
Oh, man. Local is always the important one. But the big thing is just y'all are usually on a pretty tight time crunch. So make sure they have the availability. We always leave openings in our schedule for realtors because we understand the situation. And we can usually get the repairs or replacements within a week or two if they have to be. So that's going to be one of the big factors. And then the other one is, it's not anything you're going to know right off the bat, but making sure they hit the deadlines. Because if I miss my deadline, then you can't get insurance, then you can't close, and it messes everything up.
Yep.
So we cut it relatively close. Like I said, 2 weeks is usually it. But this time of year, we might push it for 3 just because we get a lot of rain days. So it's just making sure they're proactive, understanding your situation.
Yep. And a lot of that, again, goes back to what we said earlier, which is the importance of good communication, right? So that you know that if something is going off, you can communicate to them directly, and there's going to be that open line of communication. I think that's probably the key to every good relationship, working relationship.
That's been one of the biggest hurdles is, I got this roofer, he's supposed to fix it. He didn't come. Now I can't close.
Right.
So for realtors, timing is
or he's not even texting me back, not calling me back right away. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, and then, like I said, one of our perks is we do the escrow program. So if they don't have the funds available right now, we'll wait till closing, take it out of the closing. Not too many roofers I know do that one.
Yeah, that's huge. I think that's got to be key for a lot of situations.
It does, especially middle, low income, or even some of the more expensive roofs. They can get pretty costly
for sure.
And some people might put a small deposit just so they feel comfortable. So we get creative. Every deal is done a little bit different, based on the situation and timing. So the other factor was going to be the warranty. Like, we're putting the roof on today, you're going to sell it tomorrow. Some guys don't like to transfer. So it's like, well, the new guy doesn't get a warranty because technically it was put on. So we don't play that game. The warranty stays with the roof. As long as you don't mess with our work, it's under full warranty. I don't care who owns the house. So
just as a side note, do you void the warranty if someone puts a solar system on? I know that's been a question some agents have brought up.
We don't void the warranty, but if it's a solar system that's leaking or something
someone who did it shoddy,
then yes, the solar company's gonna be responsible for that particular aspect of the roof. So you've got a 4-facet roof and the solar's all on the right side. If the leaks are coming in the right side and we can pinpoint it to the brackets, then it's not something we would fix for free. We would still fix it.
Sure.
And even our warranty repairs like that, we're not trying to get rich on it. We just want to cover our costs.
Totally. But it's not a standard. It's not like a blanket program where, hey, you put solar on, your warranty's gone. Right? That's not how you operate it.
No, definitely not us. I know there are companies that...
There are some that do that, yeah.
The second someone stands on their roof, they're going to find an excuse to avoid the
They'll
warranty.
look for any way they can.
I mean, we've had Christmas light guys damage roofs. We've had tree trimmers, like you name it.
Yeah.
We still sometimes fix it. Don't tell anybody. But
I get it.
Yeah, but I mean,
I think it's all about doing
the
right thing for the customer and standing behind your work.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we take care of our customers, our realtors. I mean, as long as you come at us and just say, hey, this happened, you're not pointing fingers and being rude, thinking that we did it. It's like, well, we technically didn't even do it.
Right.
But, I appreciate you helping out. Give us a nice Google review. We'll take care of it.
Is it normally 10 years, 15? What's your warranty?
Our in-house is 5 on paper, but I've honored warranties for 15 years later. Like,
no one knows that, but yes.
But I mean, reality of it is the warranty issue is traditionally most roof leaks are something super simple, especially if it's workmanship related. Mm-hmm. A nail pop takes my guys 10 minutes to fix sometimes. Pull the nail, seal it, and you're done. So if it's a nail pop, that's a workmanship thing. A nail backed out, so on, we're there. We can fix it quick. I'm not going to fight you over it. It's not worth it. Like, I'd rather keep you as a client and hopefully call me again. Now, if it's something that has to do with wear and tear and it's definitely more costly, then we'll have to say, hey, your tree did this or this did that, and we'll still work out almost like a preferred repair price, just because we put the roof on in the first place. But 9 times out of 10, we just fix it.
Yeah. In your experience, do you generally work with more of the individual agents who are bringing their, situations to you, their individual deals to you, or do you have a lot of relationships with the brokers to represent kind of the team and the organization, and that has been how the partnerships have been established?
We've done a few with brokers just to get us, and that's usually when we do the group trainings.
Mm-hmm. Lunch and learns and stuff, yeah.
Yes. But a lot of them has actually just been individual relationships.
Yep.
One of the funniest ones is a guy called me cold call to sell. He's like, can I list your house for sale? It's like, no, I don't need my house for sale, but thinking of it, do you need any roofs? And I put a roof on his listing.
Nice.
So it was funny.
That's the way to turn the tables, huh?
It's still one of the best stories I have. I mean, he's a great realtor. I mean, he sent me like 3 deals already.
Nice.
But it was just funny. It was just, I was driving down the road and I got a phone call.
Hey, every conversation you ever have with an agent, there's a lot of people out there with license who claim to be agents anyway. So it's a worthwhile bringing it up, right?
So just spinning the conversation a little bit. So, but yeah,
makes sense.
I mean, the brokers definitely try to get our information, but once again, it's just that at the right time, right place,
right,
getting the information in front of them. So that's why we push for the education aspect, train you on the basic stuff. That way, when you get that listing or you have that sale coming, call us first.
Right.
Like, it takes us a few minutes to get you the information you need, and then you just go in a little bit more knowledgeable with that homeowner. And then especially if you're going into a listing, and you're trying to earn that listing versus another realtor, and you got like, hey, you better budget for this. Hey, you better budget for that. My roofer's here. He's available.
You never know what the little thing might be that can actually get you the listing. Just having that contact.
Because on our side, on the retail market, it's that little bit of knowledge between me and the other roofer, which might get me the sale.
Right.
And the more prepared you go for your listing meeting, you're going in with everyone's going to be doing competitive market analysis. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm. Comps.
Yep.
Same concept.
Yeah. So they're going to be doing the comps, but the difference between you and the other person could be like, I noticed your roof's 18 years old. Has anyone told you it's going to be a $20,000 budget you need to account for? So if you want to get this top price, all these houses had new roofs. You don't have that.
Yep.
That's a $20,000 hit you're going to take.
No doubt.
Or we can budget for it and say it's included, and then we'll just put it on at the backside. Mm-hmm. So it's the little strategies,
and you're generally not inclined to have that conversation, in my experience, if you don't have confidence in who your roofing partner is going in. You know what I mean? So establishing that relationship first, so that way when you now every time you're in these meetings, you're thinking differently because you know that you have all these resources at your disposal behind you. It adds to your level of, it gives you more authority as a realtor. It gives you more confidence as a realtor, knowing that you really can provide a high level service because you have all the right people, right, around you to be looking for those things that will distinguish you. One of the things I always preach to agents is, what is your unique selling proposition, right? Like, what is the thing that's going to make you different than all of the other agents that are out there? There's 17,000 people with licenses who claim to be agents in this market. So thankfully, our audience is really the top 500. And I was just talking to Tony Baroni last night at our MVP social about this. And it's, every agent who's a top producer tends to have a USP, even if they don't know if it's not well defined, they still have one. That's how they've been successful, right? But it could be as simple as having a real like ironclad vendor list that they're really excited about, including a great roofing partner. And that's what gives them the level of confidence that they know they can provide a next level service.
Absolutely. I mean, it could be one of the most expensive repairs depending on the house.
Totally.
And it could really make the difference if you for those older roofs especially.
Yep.
Save you the deal, get you the deal, whatever it might be.
Yep.
And then separate you. That's the big factor. Like, what's going to make you different from the other realtor who's coming in? And we'll teach you whatever you need to know, whatever's going to give you that extra little boost of confidence. I mean, the roof is just one aspect, but if it's that one aspect that can get you the deal or make you a little bit extra money, then why not?
Why not?
Right?
Yeah.
We're here to help you.
I get
teach you whatever you want to know. So.
All right, we're going to switch gears real quick to just a couple of personal questions for people to get to know you a little bit more if they don't know who Edward is yet. I thought we've given a lot of great knowledge so far about roofs and all that fun stuff. So this will be rapid fire, but a couple thoughts. Do you have a favorite book or author or seminar that you've ever attended or read that you feel like has, or even a podcast if you want, that you feel like has made an impact on you personally or professionally?
I don't do a ton of podcasts. One of my go-tos is Ed Milet.
Yeah.
He's a good motivational business speaker.
He is, yeah.
Most of my stuff is business-oriented and leadership. John Maxwell.
I love his stuff, yeah.
So I've got a few. I don't do a ton of reading anymore, audiobooks.
Mm-hmm. That's still reading, it's just audio version.
Exactly. I do I'm a lot of time in the car, so try to listen to that.
No doubt. Some of the most successful people I know of use their car as like their driving university, they call it, right?
Exactly.
And so anytime you have to be in there, you might as well try to learn something.
That's where we're at. So.
I get it. Yeah, I'm a big John Maxwell fan too. He's got some great books on leadership. Anybody who's like responsible for building a team or an organization, in my opinion, should really read a lot of his work. Patrick Lencioni, by the way, as a recommendation to you and anyone else out there, is another guy that I've been reading a lot lately. And he's got some really cool content for leaders, and helping them grow their organization. So
check that
he's
one
worth
out.
checking out for sure. Do you have a favorite TV show or movie of all time?
Man, not necessarily. I mean, I bounce around. I'm like, get in this one or get in that one. There's not really a go-to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll go for, I don't know. Christmas time, I got my favorites, but
don't we all?
Yeah.
Favorite Christmas movie then?
Oh, my daughter's that we watch is Elf and the Jim Carrey Grinch.
Oh, of course.
So those are like the two I got around early. So, but I mean,
you have two daughters?
No, I just go with the one.
You have one?
Yeah,
okay.
7.
And she's 7 years old now.
Yeah.
And when did you get married? Are you married? Single now?
Separated.
Single now.
Yeah.
Okay. With a daughter who's 7.
Yes.
There you go.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Me and my ex, we have a great relationship, so I can't complain there.
That's good. You guys have figured out the co-parenting thing, huh?
Absolutely.
That's cool. That's important. I think that's really important for the child, obviously, for sure. So it sounds like things are good there.
Yeah.
No doubt. What else do we have for you? So this is kind of what I call legacy question, right? To get somebody to think a little deeper sometimes. So when we're all going through the hustle and bustle, man, building businesses, working hard, trying to make as much money as we can and trying to have a good life at the same time. But at some point, you'll sit at that rocking chair when you're hopefully old and gray and you look back and think, what do I want to be most remembered for, right? What type of legacy really means the most to me? If you had to think about that for a second, Ed, what do you think for you personally would be important that you would want to be most remembered for?
Man, that's a loaded question. That's a tough one. So I'm a part of a mastermind group, Revolt, which is a bunch of us roofing contractors and solar guys from around the country. And it's about legacy, leadership, and integrity is like the core values.
Yeah.
So legacy is one thing he's pushing on us hard. It's one thing I think about a lot. I mean, one of the big things, of course, for personal life is my daughter. I just want to make sure she's set, taken care of, and the best woman she can be when she grows up. But at the same time, like, I want to be known for, helping my team, inspiring. Like, I want to be known as a great leader as far as anyone who's ever worked for me or works for me, that they become the best person they can be as well.
Yeah. What's that team look like right now? How many people do you have?
Between the roofing company, I also have a little fitness studio.
Okay.
Between the two, about 25.
Cool.
So
it's a lot of people to be responsible for.
it is.
Yeah.
So there's days it gets a little stressful, but I'm trying to, like right now, they're actually getting ready at 12 o'clock we've got a guest speaker who we brought in for 4 days, mindset, sales training,
Nice.
all the above. So
Who's the speaker?
His name is, man.
Is this in the fitness studio?
Deshaun Bryant.
Okay.
No, he's with the roofing.
Roofing. Okay.
Yeah, he's known as a roof hustler.
Okay.
Like, so he's known for more door knocking.
Yep.
But it's more, I like him because of his personality and his just like mindset on everything. Is like, hey, like, we're doing this to better ourselves. Like, we're not full of excuses. Like,
Yeah.
if we want it, we're gonna go
Take
get
responsibility.
it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And he just pushes them. Like, he came in a few months back and it definitely was very helpful, but it was just 1 hour. Now we got him for 4 days.
It's awesome.
So
It's cool.
little
man.
things like that, we try to invest in our team. So he's
You ever
here
hear
for
Andy
4 days.
Elliott?
Another
Pretty
name.
big online right now. He does a lot in the solar world, but he does businesses. He's same concept, motivation. But he used to be a car dealer. He sold a lot of used cars and other like dealerships, and would train the car guys on same mindset and how to plan your day and how to go after it, and goals and relentlessness and determination, and also like physical fitness and how to feel good so that you can act good and all that kind of stuff. But I've heard him speak live a few times, and he's got a pretty powerful story too. So you remind me, when you were just talking about your guy, it kind of reminded me of his business model.
I mean, that's all the stuff we're trying to push, is just improving their lifestyles. Everyone who works for me gets a gym membership.
Yeah.
So we promote health and fitness. We promote like just strong personal and work life. Like, I'm not working them to the bone. Like, no, you need the time, you take your time.
Yep.
But when you're for work, you focus on work, and we don't make excuses. We're always trying to better ourselves. So we have like this speaker now. October is our big conference where it's more speakers, where I take all the sales team and even management team there, and it's another 3 days of just
Awesome, man.
Mindset and leadership.
It really does a lot for a culture, I think, of a team and an organization. So it's cool to hear that
I
you're
like
doing
to think
that.
so. I hope so. Like,
it does.
I hope. I mean,
I've been a part of a couple companies that have done that, and it always makes you feel like the company cares. They're giving back, because I mean, any smart person knows that's not cheap. It's a pretty big investment. Here's the big dog walking in here. What's up, J Mac?
What's up?
We're going to be having J Mac on the show here in a couple of minutes, so I'll have to introduce you to Edward before he runs out, Jay. So anyway, we're wrapping up our show here, but it's cool to hear that you're doing that. I think that's your people hopefully appreciate it and can grow because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So whatever we can do.
No doubt, man. If somebody wants to connect with you, an agent out there who just wants a great, hook up with an experienced roofer who really cares about agents out there, we're excited to have you as a partner, and you've really proven through your track record, even before you became a partner with us, that you had a great reputation in this market. And so any agent that has followed us and works with us, we highly recommend Edward and his team. If somebody wanted to pick your brain a little bit or invite you to come speak or help, educate in any way, shape, or form, what's the best way for someone to connect with you?
I mean, you can definitely go to our website, magnumrestoration.com. You find us on Facebook, Magnum Roofing and Restoration. If you want to contact me directly, it's Edward at magnumrestoration.com. Definitely reach out. We can do a lunch and learn or we can just do a private meeting if you're just an agent who just wants to learn more, so that you're educated when you go in to deal with your clients.
Cool. That's it.
So
we'll put a bow on this episode the way we always do, which is a challenge to the audience. So whether you're watching live or you're checking out on any of our podcast platforms that we have out there, if you don't already subscribe, by the way, to this podcast, just click the button. That way you're notified every time a new episode drops, which is every week. We drop a new episode every Friday. But hopefully this episode today with Edward was an informational one for many of you out there who I know most likely are agents or in the real estate space somehow and could already have some relationships with roofers. Maybe you have some that you're not exactly happy with, or something we might have said today could have triggered a couple questions for you. I just encourage you to take action on at least one thing, right? What is one thing that you can do, whether that's reach out to Edward, check out his website. Maybe there's something he said that you wanted to do a little research on your own just to educate yourself, because we did talk about the importance of education and the level of confidence that gives you as a top producing agent to know that you know your stuff, not just about real estate, but about all the other pieces that go into the transaction, right? Including the roof and everything else that's involved in this process. So take action, do at least one thing today that's going to help propel you forward professionally and personally. And if you do that, then your time invested in listening to this podcast will be worth it. We, of course, will see you on the next episode of the Tampa Bay Real Producers Podcast, which, of course, is powered by Top Producers Nation. You can check out more about that at topproducersnation.com. If you are not yet a top producer, but you want to be, go ahead and check us out there and we'll help you out. We'll see you later. Bye.
Hey friends, it's Frank Cotto, president of Lincoln Lending Group, going on 20 years right here in Tampa Bay, otherwise known as Frank the Bank on social media. I'm here at Whiskey Cake at International Mall with the Real Producers. Don Hill, Real Producers, is an amazing group. It's not just a magazine, guys. It is a networking group of the top 500 agents in the area and some amazing sponsors, some amazing partners. This is not just your typical group. It's a great place to come, to network, to learn something, to sit on a panel, to advertise, to meet great people. Thank you, Don, and thank you, Real Producers, for everything you've done for us. We'll continue to be a partner, and you should too.